Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing our full review on a 2022 Ram 2500 Black Widow. First and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Kunani for filming this truck for us. I just posted a video on this truck earlier in the week, and that was just the exterior. This video is going to include the exterior and the interior, as well as showing a couple of cool elements on the truck. So go follow her Instagram in the description down below. And then on a side note, I just released my car buying course. So if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to that in the description down below as well. Let's get into the video. This review is going to be backwards compared to my normal format because I already posted a video of the exterior of this truck. It was a walk around. Now, I included that video at the end of this video. So if you haven't seen the first video, then just stay until the end if you want to see the exterior of this truck and then the walk around impressions and all that. But if you've already seen the first video, then I'm not going to like shove it in front of your face and try to make you watch it again. And so that's at the end of this video. So probably at like the 8 to 9 minute mark, you can just drop off because you've already seen the exterior walk around stuff. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. But anyways, let's get into the interior on this crazy truck. You can see the black trim up above, and then down below we've got our charging ports with the full power outlet. And then notice rubber floor mats. Cup holders here in the foot area, which is always interesting. They've got cup holders all over the Ram trucks, which definitely makes it a lot more practical. And you can see the red stitching here in the seats. Now, this is built off a Bighorn Sport package. So that's why, like on the door panel here, you can see like the cloth trim and then the padding, but then notice you've got the black trim there. That comes with the Sport. And I love the stitching design here on the seats. I think they look really cool. Now, this leather isn't as like plush as what you have in a Limited, for example, but it's nicer than the cloth seats you get in a Bighorn, and the stitching design looks cool, and the coloration also looks really cool as well. So I don't know. I think that Black Widow nailed it from a design perspective. Just with how the seat appears, I love how it looks, and I think Ram should do more crazy stitching stuff like that. I think that would definitely be fun. And notice here, we of course have the armrest cup holder situation. You can never forget that. That's the most important part of every single vehicle. If it doesn't have an armrest with some cup holders in the back seats, it's not a real vehicle. Just saying. I'm just saying. I don't make the rules. I just follow them, right? Here's the door panel at the front. So again, you can see that darker trim with the cloth trim down below. All of your window controls, the mirrors do power fold in, and then you can see those speakers for the sound system, and then tons of storage space on the door panel. That's definitely one of the big pluses, right? And then moving from that here to the seats, and it's got the Black Widow logo there and the headrest, and then all the red stitching throughout. And then you can see here with the stitching design, it's cool how it's cross-stitched. I don't know, I'm always a big fan of that. It's complicated, right? And you know, it takes more time, and usually you have to pay a little bit more for it, but I think it's worth it at the end of the day because of the appearance that you get with it. So yeah, and notice with the front seat on the bolstering, it's the same as what you get in a regular Bighorn. Nothing's changed with that. It's just, again, leather swap here for all the seats. If you guys are wondering how they do it, basically with every single seat you have like padding underneath, and then you've got the seat covers, and so they just are changing the seat covers. So like if you actually get a base model Ram 1500 and then a Limited, you're getting the same seat. You just have different seat covers, if that makes sense. And then notice we've got the lighting here at the bottom of the pedals. It's kind of cool because, again, it's in red, right, to go with the Black Widow theme. And then notice the Black Widow gauges right here with the spiders on them, another cool touch. And notice here on the other side again with these spiders. And you can see here at the RPM, since the diesel doesn't go super high, it's kind of one of the things. And then notice 54 miles on the odometer because it's a brand new truck. Now, rest of the elements, you'll notice that nothing's really changed here with other interior elements. So you still have like all the regular light controls, right? They didn't do anything with the dash. It's still a regular Bighorn dash. Now, that's one of the downsides to using the Bighorn package for modifying a truck is with the Laramie, you get the leather and stitching there on the dash, whereas with the Bighorn, it's just plastic. So anyways, you can see with the steering wheel, you got the nice padding and stitching inside the steering wheel. It'd be cool if they did like a custom steering wheel with the Black Widow trucks. I think that would be a fun thing. Now it's got the voice command phone control set up right there. Ram logo, which I think Ram needs to like black that out with the sportier packages, you know, something. And then you can see here with the stop-start button and the column shifter just up above that. And now with the driveline select, notice we don't have four-wheel auto. I just reviewed a couple of new Silverados recently, and their heavy duties have 4-wheel auto, so it's interesting that Ram still doesn't do that with their heavy duties. But you can see here with the 12-inch display, notice you got 6 auxiliary switches down there, diesel exhaust brake, all that normal stuff, and then this has the sliding center console, and notice trailer brake controls, tow haul mode, and then you got the buttons for the parking sensors, front and rear, charging area as well, and also I guess another downside is like the center console setup isn't as nice in the Bighorn as what you get in the higher up packages, so that's another thing I guess to consider. And you can see the little Black Widow spider crawling there on the screen. That's another cool thing I love about the Black Widow trucks is they add that animation to the infotainment system. It's something that's super like small, but I don't know, it just adds so much style. And then here's the center console. So storage space, it's great, and having the sliding center console helps out a lot because then it makes it so you can use like the whole center console area versus just part of it like what you have in the Ford or the Chevy. And also, we got the measuring tables there on the back. It's kind of Ram's little Easter egg that they have on all of their new trucks and all of the math equations too. Stuff that I understood when I was in school, but now probably just looking at it, I'm like, you know what? That doesn't make sense anymore. That's what happens when you go into the real world, right? Everything you learned just goes away. But anyways, you got the red stitching there on the center console. So they kind of match that. And I think that's pretty easy to do. Like if they did a Laramie with the dash, they could just do the stitching in red to match. So I don't think that's too big of a deal. And then again with the cup holders. And like I said with the dash, it's just like the normal plastic. It does have the Alpine sound system, so it's 9 speakers and a subwoofer. Sounds great. So that's another big plus with the truck. And then notice the 12-volt there at the top of the infotainment system, and then again that blacked out trim that comes with the sport package as well. And then you can see here at the top, you notice there's the Black Widow decal there on the window, and then of course we've got darker colored headliner, and then this does come with a sunroof. Ram still doesn't offer a panoramic on their heavy duty trucks, so you just get a regular sunroof. There's no panoramic or anything like that available yet. Maybe when they do the full redesign, right? Because they've already redesigned it technically, but they haven't redesigned it to like half-ton specifications, if that makes sense in terms of the cab and all that. And last but not least on this section, we of course have to go over the controls for the sunroof, power sliding window, all that right there in the center. Pretty cool setup. And then, so this is the auxiliary switch that you press to turn on. So you've got like the footwell lighting that you guys saw earlier. But there's also exterior lighting as well. And the wheel wells. Aha, see what I did there as well, wheel wells. Another cool element. And then here's the power side steps kind of going back in. And then here's a couple photos. And yeah, that is our quick walk around of the interior of the truck. Let's go over this Black Widow Ram 2500. Pretty cool truck. I want to go over the standard equipment that comes with the Black Widow package, and you guys will see some footage of the truck as we're kind of going over these different elements on the truck. So first off, 5-inch suspension lift comes standard, 37-inch tires. They're mud terrain tires. They're mounted on 20-inch wheels. You've got a performance speedo recalibration. You've got the gigantic bolt-on fender flares, power running boards, tinted front windows. You've got the windshield decal badges on the exterior to signify it's a Black Widow, and then you will see the custom gauges, and then you've got Black Widow stitched into the headrest, and you guys can see those wheels right there in that shot. Definitely a cool aesthetic. And then there are some options you can add. You can upgrade the 20s to 22s, which is a pretty cool setup. I would say stick with the 20s because even 20s, in my personal opinion, are very large for, what's supposed to be an off-road package. Rock lights, and then you can do a custom leather interior and then custom paint as well. You guys have seen that with other Black Widows that I've reviewed, the custom paint colors on the outside. The ones that are the most popular are like the matte finishes with the paint. This all does come with a warranty. Notice it says Black Widow with the shock. That's pretty cool right there. So you've got a 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty, and the builds are compliant with the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards. So this is, everything works from a compliance standpoint with the Black Widow trucks, and that's the big benefit, right? So as we're going over a few more of these elements, I just want to kind of talk about this. I see comments all the time, and also it's cool that this one has the two-tone roof, of people talking about how these packages are way overpriced and that they could just do this themselves and they could do it for a lot cheaper, right? Okay, yes, you could do this for cheaper, but first off, that's not going to have a warranty, right? So you got to ask yourself, how much is that peace of mind worth, that if something goes wrong with the lift or the truck or whatever, that it's covered under warranty? Again, how much is your peace of mind worth? And then the other thing you got to ask yourself is, do you want to really deal with, getting your truck registered all the time, and if it doesn't pass safety? Now, I'm lucky here in Utah that they got rid of our safety inspection, and you guys can see the interior right here, which looks really cool. Yeah, they got rid of our safety inspection, so we just have to worry about emissions. But if you live in a state where you constantly have to have safety inspection every year, every other year, right? Do you want to deal with, driving around a truck that doesn't pass safety and you have to constantly change things on the truck just to get to pass, right? That's another annoyance. And then on top of that, if you lift your truck and put tires and wheels on it and shocks and everything, even if you did the exact same setup that what Black Widow has here, your truck will not be as worth as much as a Black Widow, because at this point, there's a pretty strong brand name with SCA Performance and with their Black Widow trucks that they're worth more on the used market. And so there is some value there as well. And so with everything together, between the warranty, making sure it's compliant with the government, right? And on top of that, the package actually adding resale value. Trust me, if you just lift your truck and everything, you might be able to find the right buyer that'll pay more for your lifted truck. But when I worked at a car dealership and someone brought in a lifted truck, we didn't pay more for it because it was lifted. Sometimes we'd pay less for it because we're like, oh, this is going to decrease the amount of buyers that we have available for this truck. If it was stock, it would be even better. So yeah, there is some benefits. And then going over this package itself, as you guys can see, the main thing, right, is the lift, the wheels, and the tires, and then the shock upgrade. Other than that, right, the truck is pretty much just a regular diesel 2500. If you guys are wondering in terms of what's powering this 2500, it's the 6.7 liter Cummins, goes to a 6-speed automatic transmission. It's known as a 68 RFE. That's the only transmission available for the diesel 2500. And so it puts out 370 horsepower and then 850 pound-feet of torque, which is more than enough to move the 37s that this truck has. And then notice you've got the Black Widow badging right there. They don't really change a whole lot with the badging on the truck, right? They throw on some Black Widow badges, but they keep the Ram badges on it, which kind of mix things up a little bit because the Black Widow badges on this particular truck are darker, and that's kind of what Black Widow does. And then all the Ram badges and the Cummins badges and everything are chrome with this particular truck. And so what I would love to see is a Black Widow Ram 2500 with the Night Edition package, because then having the blacked out grille and having the blacked out badges would fit a lot better with this particular package. And then you guys can see here with the suspension, everything from the rear. Now you guys are probably wondering also why they're doing this, why they're building this off a 2500, not 3500. The 2500 with the Rams is the better truck to lift. The 3500 has a higher payload capacity, but it uses leaf springs, whereas the 2500 uses coil suspension in the back end. You can kind of see the springs there from this shot. And so that's going to have a much better ride quality. It's easier to lift, and it's going to be just a better setup overall. With Ford and with GM, you'll see them lift 3500s typically because it's the more desirable truck, and the 2500 series trucks use leaf springs as well with those two brands. The only difference with like a Ford 2500 and 3500 is the 3500 has like one more leaf spring, basically. So it makes sense for those trucks for them to lift the bigger, not the bigger, but the 3500 series trucks. Notice bedliner too. I've been reviewing a lot of expensive trucks without bedliners, but this one has it. So yeah, that's the reason why you'll see typically with Rams, they'll lift the 2500s because of the coil suspension. And usually lifted trucks, they expect them to not be used for truck stuff. And so they're kind of okay with the fact that the 2500 has lower payload capacity and all that, because again, they're like, oh, well, it's probably not going to be used for, you know, towing and hauling and all that kind of stuff. So it's okay if it has lower payload capacity. But I want you guys to let me know what you think of this Black Widow package, if you think it's worth it, if you think this truck looks good or not, or if what you would change on it personally. I think it's a great looking truck with the two-tone and everything.